Hi there, party people. Welcome back to the Fireside Chat Season 2. It's your boy Jackie C.
And Shade.
And his boy Shade, leader of the Shady Gang, the shadiest gang east of the Mississippi. No, but about the Season 2 thing. You know, we had a little COVID scare, and COVID's been scaring a lot of people, so we took a little bit of time off, but we're ready to move forward just a little bit. Speaking of COVID, Shade, did you hear there's a new strand in England?
No, I didn't.
Apparently there's a new strand in England that's deadlier and transmits quicker than the first one. Yeah, I was like, come on now. It's like, this is like, I feel like, I don't know.
That's awful.
It's absolutely wild is what it is.
That's mean. Why would it do that?
It is mean-spirited. Like, we're going into 2021. We just got a vaccine, and they're like, oh, psych. Like, I wonder if the vaccine is still going to be good. Like Pfizer and BioNTech and what is it, Moderna came up with them. Anyway, Shade, how have you been? It's been a while.
I have been very well. Thank you.
That's good to hear. You've been drinking your water?
Sometimes.
Some of the time.
Goes up and down.
Speaking of which, some of you all, you know, we got somebody that sent us something saying, like, some people are supposed to drink a gallon of water, some people are not. A lot of the advice on this show, you know, it's not universal, if that makes sense. For example, if you're 110 pounds, you probably don't need to drink as much water as somebody who is 210 pounds.
So it is universal, but it's not like one size fits all. It's like general.
Yeah, exactly, in that sense. So the gallon a day challenge is more about you drinking more water than you do now because you probably don't drink enough. More so than drinking a gallon. Some of you all need to drink more. Technically, I'm supposed to drink a little more than a gallon. I think, Shade, you're supposed to drink like 10 ounces less than a gallon or something. I think I drink 10 ounces more. It's by your body weight, though. And then you have to think, what's the difference between how much you should have on a day you worked out versus how much you should have on a day you didn't?
That's
or
a good
what
point.
About the difference between the winter and the summer when it's warm out and you're doing a lot of sweating? And so, you know, you can't necessarily, not everything we say is going to directly apply to you in the way that you might have hoped it to. With that being said, let's start moving forward. News item of the day. There is a COVID relief bill. Shade, are you excited?
I am.
$600 you might not get.
Wait, why not?
Because Donald Trump just said he's not going to sign anything that's not good enough. And so he says
he would say that.
So the first thing he said was Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump has been losing it. I think he's been losing it. Like,
how much did he say he wanted?
He said, well, so that's not the reason I'd say he's losing it, but I would say that he's losing it in the sense, you know, if you look at everything he's doing, from the pardons to dismissing folks to what's the other? Oh, he's gonna veto the defense bill.
Really?
Yep. It's never been. I don't think it's ever been vetoed, ever. I think I was reading. I think it's like
just
56
vetoing to veto for the sake of vetoing.
Yeah, I guess, you know, final. So he wants, for COVID relief, he says that instead of the 600 we're all getting, we should get 2,000 or something.
I don't think they'd give that to us, though.
Well, to be fair, apparently Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has, she tweeted out saying that her and Rashida Tlaib, the other congresswoman, member of the Fab Four, that they already have an amendment ready to propose that they believe would pass in a Democratic House, but they believe that it would not pass in a Democrat or in a Republican Senate.
Okay.
I don't know that we're going to get it. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's tricky because the Republicans, when they really... So the poli-sci question today, someone asked us for our Georgia prediction again. They said, it's been a while since we've heard from you. Do you still feel the same about Georgia? When Trump does crazy things, it makes folks feel differently about Georgia. And so I guess my question for you, Shade, is right now, if Trump says, I want this, and Democrats say they want it, and Republicans in the Senate say they don't, how does that impact the race in Georgia? Does that make sense?
It's a good question.
Like, you can take power from Mitch McConnell by electing 2 more Democrats, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. If you're like, if Donald Trump aligns himself with AOC and the Democrats, like he appears to have done, based on the fallout of tonight. Earlier today, there was the development around 5 or 6 that he said he's not going to sign anything that, is less than what the American people deserve. And then about an hour ago, AOC tweeted saying that they have the amendment ready. If, they have the amendment ready to move, all they need is Mitch McConnell to move out the way.
It's a very framed question, I'll tell you that. But I would say, I mean, it might look good in some regards towards what he's doing. It also might look absolutely awful. It really kind of depends.
Well, I think for the purposes of Donald Trump, it looks awful. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, it looks terrible. Because let's be frank, if you're a Democrat, I mean, you have to be smart enough to know. We can all sit here and listen and be arrogant, but just the fact that you can hear this podcast is a symbol of your privilege in a way. The fact that you have. And so a lot of people have never not had. You see what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people have never had to be hungry. I guess my point is right now, if you look at that COVID relief bill, there's a lot of good things in it that need to pass immediately. Protections for people getting kicked out of their homes, enhanced unemployment benefits, the stimulus. And so if you have to craft another one, fine. The point is for Trump to insert himself right now, you're in school right now, you're a music guy. Imagine you have a group project, right? And there's you and 3 of y'all, right? And you guys are all working together, and you guys, you have some disagreements, but eventually you guys come up with something that you believe is good. It's not great. It's not everything you want, but it's good. Shada has elements you like, has elements your 3 teammates like. And then I know a 5th person, your 5th teammate comes in, and let's imagine that he was appointed to be the group leader. So he's the one who has to turn in the project or whatever. It has to be turned in through him, as does, Donald Trump, the president. He, has been absent this entire time, the group leader, whatever is going on. I'm busy, whatever, family emergency, whatever. He hasn't been doing anything. And then suddenly he just throws himself in and he's like, I don't like this. I don't like that. We need to change this. We need to change that. Even if he's going to make it better, it sits wrong. It doesn't sit right with folks.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
It's not. So, like, in the case of Donald Trump, it's like, people, how long have we been talking about COVID relief? We were talking about COVID relief the last time we were on this podcast. That was over a month ago.
Yep.
Think about what that word means, relief. For some of us, like for me, whether the check is 400 or 4,000, I don't want to say it's not going to impact me, but it's not like the person who is, struggling to pay their bills.
Yeah.
The person who has child care payments they're trying to make. The person who's out of work. I'm working right now. I'm being paid. Like, you and I are being paid. So it's a difference for us than it is for them. And so you have to understand, for them, it's like I said, when I was talking about people not having, for them, it's the difference of, imagine being hungry. It's the difference of chips or nothing. Like, yes, would you like a full course meal if you're starving? Would you like a full Thanksgiving dinner? Would you like, $20 to spend at McDonald's? Like, sure. But if you can't get that, if you can only get $5 to spend at McDonald's, if you can only get a bag of chips, I promise you, anybody homeless would tell you it's better than nothing. Yeah. They would tell you, if you're thirsty, a sip of water is better than a dry desert.
Yeah.
That's and fair. Donald Trump's actions threaten to throw us back into a dry desert. It might work. It might get Mitch McConnell to bend. Mitch McConnell might say, all right, you know what? Fine. Unprecedented times, blah, blah, blah. Or he might not.
Yeah.
It'd be really interesting to see. I personally, if I had to take a prediction, I don't know how you stand, I would say that McConnell has been around for longer than Schumer. He's been around for longer than Donald, for sure. And I believe he's been around, like, in Congress in D.C. longer than Nancy Pelosi. And my point is he's seen the way that this works. And they already won. Let's be clear. And in Georgia, guess what the candidates can do? They can cling to, they're already clinging to Donald Trump. They can cling to Trump and say, yeah, if we were there, we would vote for 2000. We would buck McConnell. And as what the people, they're not going to say, we don't believe you, right? When you vote for a candidate, you listen to what the candidate says. You vote for them based on what they're saying and you believe that they would do.
Yep.
Most Republicans don't buck Donald Trump. Most Republicans go with Donald Trump. So it wouldn't be wild for them to say, yeah, I would go with Donald Trump. I would give you all the 2000, da 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 da. I just think that you all need relief.
Yeah.
There's definitely a way around this where the Senate Republicans can still win and make sure that everybody else still loses. And it's a shame because while it wasn't a big win, it looked like everybody was going to win until Donald Trump said something. But that's really the nature of this presidency, you know? Chaos. That's really what it is. Another poli-sci question somebody asked us, I was just thinking about, what do you think it's going to take to get this country back together? Like, I mean, we are just, when I say like, you know, like the difference in like opinions and stuff, people are just so, I mean, you know, we've been joining these Facebook groups and exploring, you know, different opinions. Man, the right and the left just don't see anything like the same. Like,
not at all.
I saw somebody post about Antifa from the right side, or from the Republican side. I just couldn't believe some of the things that they were saying. Some of the criticisms were true, but by and large, I felt like there was a lot of misinformation. A lot of misinformation. But Shay, let me ask you, what do you think we have to do to get back together as a country?
Probably quite a bit. First thing would be just a general unification. Not even unity, but like a willingness for parties to work together at all would be great. We need to stop letting the media and also the political parties like plot against each other. Like, yeah, it's bad. I don't know. There's too much politics in it, essentially. And we need to start being more of a United States of America would be step one.
Yeah. So for me, I saw an interesting idea where someone said that Biden should pick somebody to be the representative of the opposition within his cabinet. And basically what he would do is he would pick a Republican and just bring them on as like a strategist. They're well paid, and their entire job is to argue the other side in cabinet meetings, and then to go back to the other side, basically to be a link between the parties. And I thought that was a neat idea. But
that is interesting.
I thought maybe we could take that one step further. And what if for every cabinet position, you nominated two people? And I know that's, you know, a lot more expensive. And no, a lot of people would say it's a lot expensive, and they would say that it wouldn't be too complicated, because at the end of the day, you would have the majority and then the minority. So you would have, you know, just like how you do in Congress, you know, you have the chairman and then the ranking member under them. So it would be like you would have two Secretary of States, but you would have one that's like the Secretary of State, and then the Deputy Secretary of State would be a Republican, assuming you're a Democrat. So you're Joe Biden. You'd make the Secretary of State a Democrat, but the Deputy Secretary of State would be a Republican. The Secretary of Agriculture would be a Democrat, but the Deputy would be a Republican. And thus, in every instance, you have both sides represented, and you can come together kind of and find a way to work together on those issues.
Now, that does just further perpetuate the two-party system, which, you know, I'm personally
I was just going to say, it might work to bring the parties together, or it might paralyze things worse, because then you have a White House that doesn't know what it wants to do.
Yeah.
Well, both sides sound good, so we're really not sure. Like, so, I don't know. I guess I can imagine it going both ways. But, no, to answer your thing about the two-party system, I've heard a lot of people that talk about knocking the two-party system down. I think that's a young man's game in politics. I think
I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, I mean, even like just the idea of like addressing it. Like right now, like I didn't even think about like, oh yeah, it definitely does. I just at this like what when you like watch politics enough, like you just a third party like the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, like in 2016, you had Hillary Clinton, you had Donald Trump, and if one of those two parties couldn't figure out a way to gain some ground and really like they don't even have representation in Congress. They can't nationally get together, get a bunch of donations together, they should be able to locate like 10 districts in America, 10 congressional districts and say, we can win these. And then from there, dump all their money in, and then they would have national representation. I don't know how many state legislators across the country are members of third parties at this point.
No, yeah, basically none. And I think so the problem with a third party is it would just simply never win. There would be no point in having a third party. But having no parties, I think, is generally the idea when you're talking about doing away with the two-party system.
No party. I mean, it's hard because you'd then be trying to ban political affiliations, which are like protected under the Constitution, you know?
I suppose that's true.
Yeah, so you'd be trying to ban people from assembling and, you know, like being like at the end of the day, the worst part about the party system is the fact that people that get into it are sheeps.
Yeah.
Like you can say, like, I'm a Democrat. I don't agree with everything, or I wouldn't even consider myself a Democrat anymore at this point. I would consider myself an independent. But I caucus with the Democrats. I don't agree with everything the Democrats are up to. Just like, you know, back when I was in high school, I considered myself a Republican and didn't agree with everything that they, you know, were up to. Didn't agree with everything that they thought. But you have a lot of people who they hear something and instead of thinking and doing their own research and then saying, you know, well, I mostly agree with this side, I disagree with them on this issue. You have people who just, you know, bowled over to the issue.
It's a good point.
So I think that's the worst part about the two-party system is the fact that a lot of people are sheeps. They're just that. They're they're clay. They're not, you know, and you want to some extent to, you know, have an open mind and be able to learn new things, but it shouldn't be one of those things where every time your party explains something to you, that's just the definitive way it makes sense to you.
Yep.
And then, you know, as the party changes, you know, you change with the party, whether the party is going to the left or going to the right.
Exactly. You have to be able to think for yourself.
I think that that's the biggest issue with the two-party system is you have a lot of people who aren't thinking for themselves.
That's
and thus,
exactly my problem with the two-party
thus, like,
system.
you know, the Republican Party might say, or the Democratic Party, they might say something, and then everybody within that party would be like, oh, well, that makes perfect sense to me, knowing good and darn well that it doesn't. So, I don't know. That being said, Shay, they want to know what we think about Georgia. You first. Dems or Republicans? Who takes it and why?
Probably Republicans.
Probably Republicans. And why?
If I say because it's the South, that's like a terrible answer.
No, that's an excellent answer. That's what I told you. That's what I said about South Carolina the other day. I said, y'all sound nuts. The first state to secede from the Union is going to be the first state to have 2 black senators. Forget about it. Like, and sure enough, Lindsey Graham didn't just win. He crushed him. Lindsey Graham feels more emboldened than ever. Like,
the only reason I feel like it could still go Democrat is just because, and I don't even remember where I saw this, but it was like CNN or something else saying that there was a lot of Democratic increase in the polling there.
Yeah, so Democrats have done a good job stomping the ground. They're doing a good job registering voters, but the Republicans won originally.
Yeah.
So they won the original one, they just didn't get to 50%, right?
Yeah,
If
something
you
like
look
that.
at the other candidates that were written in, those people lean more to the right than they do the left. The point is that the Republicans have, like, even right now, when you look at the polling, Republicans are winning all the polls in Georgia. Like, the polling is close, but it's always slant Republican. I have Republicans winning in double overtime. But I will say this much. Democrats have a shot, and it's not really because of anything they're doing. It's because of what Republicans are doing. And what I mean by that is Republicans could just sit back and let the Democrats destroy themselves. I think it was Warnock the other day who said something crazy like, he said you can't serve God and serve your country, right? At the same time. Now, what he meant was you can't use your religion as a justification for your reasoning and your rationale behind your decisions when it comes to government actions. So, for example, if you're a captain of the army, you can't say, I want us to do this because Jesus told me to, or this is what the Bible says. Just like if you're in Congress, you shouldn't say, I'm going to vote like this because that's what the Bible says. So that was his whole point. But the way he phrased it, it was a real simple headline, right? It was a real simple headline that went everywhere. And it's just like some of the things like a cob, or even like people hear like a cob and they're like, man, I remember that police officer that did this for me, that did that for me. And, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, instead of like explaining what you mean and really articulating it, Democrats like punchlines. They like hashtags. They think it's cute. It looks good on Twitter. And they don't really explain these things. It's like I just told you. That makes perfect sense, right? You can't use your religion as a justification within. And he's even like within a government role.
Yeah. Which
that's
makes perfect
perfectly
sense.
fair. But that's too many words for Democrats. Too many words. You can't they would rather say just the one line, you can't serve God and serve your country at the same time. And so you get headlines like that, or like defund the police. Now, people hear defund the police. Think about what defund Planned Parenthood meant for years. I hope everybody listening is with me. If you're a liberal right now and you heard the phrase defund Planned Parenthood, you saw it as an attack on women, right?
If
An
you're
attack on women's rights, right? If you're a liberal, when Republicans would say defund Planned Parenthood,
definitely.
That's the same way that conservatives here defund the police. And it's funny because in both situations, if you read into what the other side was saying, like conservatives,
they make perfect sense.
No, well, conservatives were saying, don't give money to Planned Parenthood, give it to other smaller community centers that don't offer abortion services, because tax dollars can't go to funding abortion services. So technically, they argue if we give Planned Parenthood $1,000, that like, even if that money wasn't used quote unquote for an abortion, it was still used to keep the lights on in the place where abortions are being done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like, you know, so that makes perfect sense, blah, 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 you know, defund Planned Parenthood, move it over. But nobody wants that. Just like defund the police, it makes sense. We're not even talking about, you know, we're talking about taking responsibilities away from them, making their lives easier.
Yeah. Making it so that they can actually concentrate on crime.
Yeah, we're talking about taking there and making it easier. But you just hear, like I said, it's a hashtag, defund the police.
Well, that's why it shouldn't be.
And so, in the case of Republicans, you right now, you're outspending them. You're ahead of the polls. All you have to do is sit back, shut up, let them kill themselves, run the attack ads, you know, talk about the violence in Atlanta, which is the truth. You could probably turn suburbia away if you talk about the violence in Atlanta. But you have to remember, Joe Biden won the state. And so what that means is like right now, like Loeffler is talking about like, oh, we need to stand with Trump. He's been screwed out of this election. It's like most people in Georgia voted for Joe Biden because they don't like Donald Trump. But then they turned around, just like in Maine, right? Biden won Maine, but the Republican senator won the state, not the Democrat. Because a lot of people just could not stand Trump. But you're going to sit here and you're going to tie yourself to this crazy man. And then this man doing things like pardoning people that he knows don't deserve any pardons. And then like today, just throwing the COVID relief bill thing out there, or COVID, throwing it up in the air like that. It's one of those things where it seriously damages it does serious damage to the Republicans' chance to win. And so personally, I think Republicans would win in Georgia. I think they should. But it's one of those things where it's you're your own worst enemy. And I don't know. I don't believe either party really wants to win in Georgia, to be honest with you. Because at the same time, you can make the same argument for the Democrats. Right? Or am I wrong?
No, you're definitely right.
If you get out the way and let them be their own worst enemy, Kelly Loeffler's talking about, oh, he got screwed, da-da-da-da. Donald Trump right now, you know, the New York Times had an article the other day saying he's talking about declaring martial law.
What?
He wants to declare martial law. He's thinking about declaring martial law and having them redo the election.
Really?
Like the entire election. It's a New York Times article that ran that said that that's what Donald Trump is thinking about. Now, if you were a Democrat and you just stepped out the way and let Donald Trump keep shooting himself in the foot, that would be a really easy way to win. Let the Republicans continue to tie themselves to Donald Trump as he continues to shoot himself in the foot.
He can't do that, right?
He could try. It's a bunch of, Donald Trump just has a bunch of, like I said the last time we were on here, everything about Donald Trump as of November or whatever it was screams loser. We said he was going to lose the election. We told you he wasn't going to be able to overturn the electoral results. We told you the Supreme Court thing wasn't going to work. We told you nothing is going to work. On January 20th, Joe Biden will be president. He can try to declare martial law, but you have members of Congress that have already said Joe Biden's the next president. Mitch McConnell. Remember when we said Mitch McConnell will do the right thing when the time comes?
Yep.
The Electoral College said Joe Biden's the president. He instantly said, congratulations, Joe Biden, and then started working with Joe Biden.
That's because Mitch McConnell...
He understands how to survive. He's been around, I think, 36 years in D.C., longer than we've been alive. He knows how to play the long-term game. He's seen how the stands of storm win.
He helps the entire machine move.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. He knows that this is all some foolishness. So if Donald Trump declares martial law, they'd stop him. Just like when they asked him, he asked Republican state legislators to overturn the results in Michigan because Republicans have control of that, and they said, no, thank you.
I had a question for you that's kind of similar.
Okay, shoot.
Do you think that the American people would ever revolt if things got bad enough?
I believe that we have enough systems in place, just like right now I'm telling you, like, he's not going to overturn the results, that no, I don't. But at the same time, I could imagine if, say, the Supreme Court overturned the election results and were like, Donald Trump is your president, hardy har har.
I think there would be some people who would riot.
I can
but
imagine.
I don't think the entire nation would ever.
Oh, the entire nation wouldn't, because a lot of us have too much. Like, whether Donald Trump is in office, like, let's be clear. To a lot of you all listening, your last 4 years were just fine under Trump. That 8 years before that under Obama were fine. You have Republican Senates, Democratic Senates, they were fine, right?
Yeah.
You had
our lives don't change that much.
You have too much to lose. A lot of us have too much to lose to be like, oh, democracy is dead. We're up in arms. Like,
yep.
That's the same thing with the Trump supporters. When people were like, should we be worried about that? And they asked us about that last time. We grew up in the internet age where everybody was going to show up to your house and kill you, blah, blah, blah. Ain't nobody going to do nothing. It's just a bunch of silliness.
It is.
And so, I don't know, because at the end of the day, like, Donald Trump right now is just being childish or whatever, and his supporters are being childish, and that's straight. That's fine. If the Supreme Court legitimately overturned the election results, like they invalidate a bunch of ballots across several states, enough for Trump to win everywhere, and Donald Trump were the president again, I don't know that people would be up in arms, but I believe like 60 to 65% of the country, maybe 70%, I've seen some polls, know that Donald Trump is not the president.
Yeah.
And so that would be, in my opinion, it would be the greatest assault on our democracy. Period.
Yeah. No, probably.
And so, while I couldn't say for sure that they wouldn't, I can say that it would take an extreme circumstance to make that happen.
I can't imagine the American people actually revolting against something. Not at this day and age.
It, like I said, it really just depends. For some people, they don't see it like that. Some people see it, they have nothing to lose. I mean, to some
I think
extent,
some people might revolt.
I mean, to some
It's not a
extent,
lot.
you have that mindset, kind of. Like when
What?
you were talking about how you would lose your job the other day to stand up to do the right thing, blah, blah, blah.
Oh yeah, sure.
It's
But I'm a
that's kinda-
crazy person.
I was going to
like-
say, but it's kind of that same mindset. Like, I'll lose my job, I'll lose my house, I'll lose my life, blah, blah, blah. This is what's right. And then you have some people, like myself, who are like, oh, well, Donald Trump stole the election, I guess. What can you say? Like, can't wait to see him burning in hell. Like, don't know what else
I
to tell you.
mean, there's
like,
nothing else to do.
like, I just, like, for me, like I said, I just shrug my shoulders. Like, it be what it be, and it is what it is. Like, wicked unfortunate it is, honestly.
And so, does that not just make most people sheep?
Yes and no. You could argue they're sheep because they're being docile. But I would argue that when I talk about sheep, I talk about like shepherds leading sheep, more so than being like docile and being peaceful. When I think about being docile and being peaceful, like I'm a sheep. Like when it came to like if I look at like America's like history with war from 1900 on, I might agree with like World War II, just because of what Japan and Germany were up to. But outside of that, like I don't know that I agree with Vietnam. I don't know that I believe and I guess my point is in that sense I've always been a docile sheep. Like I don't really see how, I don't want to say that type of thing affects me. I don't really see how I want folks to lose their lives over that type of conflict. So like in the case of Donald Trump, like Shade, I would hate for you to throw your life away because Donald Trump stole an election. I would hate for anybody listening to this to lose their life because Donald Trump stole an election.
Yeah.
I would hate for anybody
That's fair.
listening to this to lose their life because Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. Like that, like you understand what I'm saying?
No, that's fair.
In that sense, like I guess like I said, if that's what we're gonna constitute as sheep. When I use the term sheep, I'm talking about, people that are being led by a shepherd,
Yeah.
Like the Democratic Party is your shepherd or the Republican Party is your shepherd, and they say, this is the new standard, and we say, oh, okay, makes sense. Like,
Yeah, no. And I get that. I think what I was kind of mixing those two things. And in my mind, I'm thinking if you have an entire American populace that no matter what you do will never revolt, you can do whatever you want. And while they probably don't do a lot of high key stuff, all the low key stuff, no one's going to do anything about.
well, a lot of the low key stuff, I feel like people don't know. Like,
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of people
that's
don't
true,
know.
too.
Like, for example, like, what do you know about what is it called when it's called not a vasectomy? A vasectomy is for guys, right?
Yes.
What's it called when you get your tubes
A
tied?
hysterectomy?
Yeah. Do you know about?
No, that's different, but it's similar.
Do you know about like? I guess there's something going on right now. The House Democrats are investigating, but right now in our immigration prisons, they're giving, I guess, a lot of the women forced hysterectomies.
For real?
That's allegedly what's happening. Like I said, I'm putting out I'm keep saying allegedly. We're on the air, and it's being investigated. But yeah, they say that that they're I guess it's like population control or something.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
But
And
it's
so
like so many people don't know about that. Like, was that your first time hearing about it?
that is my first time hearing
And I
about
bet you
it.
if I went outside, I told Joey that's his first time hearing about it. And so,
But that's the exact kind of thing I'm talking about. Like if the United States military decided one day, oh, we're just going to bomb Egypt. We're just going to do it because we can, to display our power for the sake of that. Obviously, while the United States military would never do that, I would have to revolt if they did.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think like you just brought up the fact that they would never do that, and we said the American people would never revolt. So I think that we have to give the American people credit in the sense that if we're gonna come up with a wild scenario that we can't fathom, that the American people would respond in a way that we can't fathom.
That's fair.
I would give them that credit, and so
That's fair.
I would say, like, that's what I would say. I'd say if they do something like crazy that, like I said, we can't even imagine, then the American people, yeah, like everybody might take to the streets. We'll be walking. We'll see your neighbors. We're all walking. We don't know where we're going. We're going straight to D.C., to the White House. We're going to tear down D.C. No, but that would just be my take on it.
No, I think that's fair. It's good. I'm glad I asked you that.
I'm glad I could answer. That being said, hopefully you have some answers next, because we're shifting. So Virtual Dating Plus, guys. Next week we're gonna do a big episode. I said a big episode. It's gonna be a big special, and it's gonna be on cuffing season. It's gonna be how to stay cuffed, how to get cuffed. Some tips on how you can be, the most cuffable you can be. All of those good things. And but before then, we're going to start out with a new segment we have called Dear Shade. So we have some writers,
Shade.
and simply they're asking us questions. We're going to address them all to Shade, as you know, our lead. What's a good word for it? Our lead somethingologist. Our lead relationshipologist.
There's got to be a word for that.
There should be. Our lead. We'll come up with something. The point is, Dear Shade, my wife came out as bisexual to me after being together for 6 years. I found out because she had attraction to a female friend that was also married and bisexual. I didn't know how to feel about it, and she being married kind of took a threesome off the table, but she was also wanting to sleep with my wife. So my wife told me if I allowed them to play with each other, she would find a female for both of us to play with. Her and her friend messed around for 2 years, and anytime I mentioned a threesome, I was told that I only wanted to sleep with someone else because my wife wasn't enough, and started a fight. So I ended the relationship between my wife and her friend. Now, 3 years later, my wife still flirts and talks about sleeping with women, but gets mad when I bring up a threesome. I feel like I was lied to and cheated on. I'm looking for advice on what to do. Should we split up or should I drop it? I feel really taken advantage of, and I feel like I should be treated more fairly. What should I do?
Is that really the... Okay.
I asked you first.
So... I just have to kind of come out and say it. So, dude, I think you're objectifying your wife like hardcore.
Indeed. When he said they could play together, I was like, oh, you mean like lesbians don't have actual sex?
Respect for...
They just... I was like, okay.
So,
That's sweet. That's cool.
And you know what? In that regard, with everything that I know about this guy's personality right now, I don't blame her for probably being bored with dude. Like, and you know what? Like, he walked into agreeing to allowing her to do whatever she wants. It's basically an open relationship.
Exactly.
It's basically an open relationship. He agreed to that. That's what he allowed. And like any amount of compensation in a sexual manner, like that's basically prostitution. Like you can't demand sex. You can't demand a threesome. Like you can't have an exchange of threesome because you're allowing your wife to like have an open relationship. Like that's not how that works at all. Like she's she's doing what she wants to do. If you're uncomfortable with that, you should probably leave. But like, yeah,
So you would say he should get divorced then?
he probably should get a divorce because I don't think he's responsible enough to handle the relationship. So,
You know, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I think that it could be salvaged, their relationship. I think that he said he brought up the fact that he ended it, which is kind of a strange way of putting it. He's definitely the man of the house. I'll say that much. It sounds like. But my point is it sounds like she still loves him and respects him enough to be with him. It sounds like the fact that he's coming here, he still loves her enough and respects her enough to be together. So what I'll say is that they need some help and some real counseling.
definitely
And they need
to
to meet with Shane once a week to get the real help that they need.
Which would be a major slapping in the face.
I was gonna say no. I think that they could. I think that they could figure it out. I do. Like they could salvage things.
Yes,
But there's just like a lot going on. Like he basically agreed to an open relationship, but a one way open relationship. And so I think the real question for them will be, it sounds like they're in a closed relationship again now. It sounds like the relationship is closed again now. It sounds like maybe she might not be as excited about the relationship being closed. And so that might need to be addressed. Like I said, I think they have a chance of fixing it. They just have to decide, maybe he doesn't excite her. Maybe they need to, figure out a way to spice things up. Who knows? Maybe they need to decide to have an open relationship. But the way that this went about, this is not how you have an open relationship.
No.
This is not how you have a monogamous relationship.
No.
This is not how relationship.
No.
This is the perfect example of it not being how relationships.
No, exactly. Honestly, I do still disagree with you.
You said can't?
I think it has the potential, but it's extremely unlikely. I think more than likely, it seems like she's pretty made up in her mind of what she wants to do, which is okay. That is totally all right. She can do whatever she wants to do.
Well,
but if he's not cool with that, he shouldn't subject himself to it.
Well, I think, okay, so here's the thing. I think that you can prefer an open relationship, but your partner says, I don't want an open relationship, and then you say, okay, fine, I want to be with you. The point is that she chose to remain married to him. She could have said, I'm leaving you, da-da-da-da. She's chosen not to do that. That's what I mean when I say she still there's evidence that she might still love and respect him. She could have said, oh, I like when he says, his exact words are, I made them break up. How'd you make them break up? Did you hold her down and make her call the person and say, we're breaking up? Or did you say, it's me or them, and she chose you?
Oh, so ultimatum.
I mean, I would assume the ultimatum is how. I mean, I hope he didn't put a gun to her head, but anything is possible.
Is that right?
Well, I mean, to be fair, for me anyway,
I don't know. That seems toxic. So here's the thing.
It seems toxic because he opened the door. But for a normal person, a normal person's looking at this situation saying, that's how a relationship normally is. It's either me or the world. You can go out there and you can be single, or you can be here with me. For me, I'm not, I don't know how you feel about relationships. I'm not an open relationship person. If you want to be single, then go be single. Or be with me. And so my point is he delivers the ultimatum, hey, I don't want you doing that anymore. I want you to be mine and just mine. Or you can leave. And you have every right to leave. Go if you want to go.
See, I'm not getting the go if you want to go sense from him. That's the part that I'm not getting. I'm not getting the choice.
Stay with me and
Exactly.
I mean, in a 21st century society, you would think that you would think she mostly has a choice. Mostly.
You would hope she has a choice. It doesn't sound like she has a choice.
I was going to say, you can't necessarily say yay or nay whether she does or doesn't.
He sounds fairly possessive.
He does, but once again, if you don't have kids and you have your own job, your own education, your own, income, if you say, and you're not, tied together on a lease or anything, if you say I'm leaving, like, all you gotta do is file a restraining order at that point, like, block them on everything. You're a crazy stalker. Like, it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, we have kids and I haven't worked in 10 years, so I don't know where I would get hired or how I would support the kids. And you see what I'm saying?
No.
Like, there's no, like, to be fair, there's no mention of kids. It says that they've only been married for 6 years. Oh, I lied. 6 plus. They've been married for 11 years. So there's no telling if they have kids or not. They might not. So she might have stayed for the kids, whatever. Who knows? Like I said, it's a very wild scenario.
So you're saying that he should just figure out his feelings?
Well, what I'm saying is I think that the two of them need marriage counseling because they just need to decide.
Definitely, they would.
Like, she needs to figure out, like, okay, what are the odds that she says I'm more attracted to women and I don't want to be with him? But then there's a chance she says, like I said, she loves and respects him. She's bored. Think about it. Not every guy, we're in the same Facebook groups. We know a lot of guys are very uneducated when it comes to the pleasure of a woman. And that's very unfortunate, but that's the truth. And so you could be a good guy. This guy doesn't strike me as a good guy, but a lot of women do like guys that aren't necessarily, top notch, good guy, A plus, whatever we want to judge them as in our eyes. People like different things. And so I guess my point is she could clearly like this guy, but this guy doesn't excite her the way that being with that girl did, or with a different girl, or with somebody else in general. Like, maybe he's just not it. And they need to figure out how can we find a way to make it work. Maybe they have to introduce toys or something. I don't know.
I feel like trying to fit a square block in a round hole, it's not ideal. Like, could probably be done if you shave down the piece, but
I mean, okay, well, like I said, you have to understand, it really depends on what she wants. Because she showed evidence, even if you look at his words, she has shown evidence, like you pointed out, that she doesn't want to be with him. But she's also shown evidence she has. Or at least maybe she's being forced to based on circumstance. Who knows?
We would really need to know more.
Yeah, but like I said, so he asked what our advice is. Our best advice is communicate. Either communicate a breakup, communicate what you need to happen to be happy, and she needs to do the same.
Either way, communicate, definitely.
But communicate something.
Yeah.
And that's our advice. I think can we agree on that both? Communicate?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's fair.
All right. Here's one more for you. I got one more for you. We got more tomorrow. These are good, though. Dear Shade, my boyfriend and I have been together for just over a year and things are going swell. Overall, no main issues but the occasional surprise that makes me question if he is actually a sneaky dude in sheep's clothing. Maybe it's not personal. There goes our favorite word, sheep. Maybe I'd feel this way with any boyfriend after my last. It's hard to tell. When we first started dating, he mentioned that he had slept with a few close friends. I generally said that makes me uneasy and I don't want to know more at the moment. Almost immediately after that, I said it would be a relief if I just knew rather than wondering, and he brushed it off. In our time together, I asked about some specific friends because I was curious, but never really knew who it was he had previously been with. I didn't dwell on it too much. That sounds like a lie. I had to say that. I'm sorry. Today I asked him point blank, it was a lie, and found out he had slept with a girl before we dated that he introduced me to as like a sister. I remember feeling interviewed by this girl and brushing it off as just a long-term friend who was interested in who her friend was dating, but now that seems pretty icky. It feels like he was sort of covering it up with a weird choice of phrasing, and I feel like a fool. Another girl I learned about, he once blew me off to go to bonfire at her house with. He had originally invited me to and just went without me. I was annoyed when it happened, but that was even before I knew they had been together. What should I do? Am I crazy?
Okay. So you said that she sounds like she's lying. I do have to agree with you there.
No, when
If,
she said she wasn't pressed,
yeah,
like, yeah, you definitely seem bothered by this. Sis.
exactly.
You
Like it,
posted
it
on the
doesn't
forum,
it doesn't
you,
seem like this wasn't on your mind. It definitely seems like it's been on your mind. Maybe only after the fact of knowing who it was, but either way, it seems like it bothered you. Otherwise, you never would have asked him point blank.
well, she said
But
she asked him like 4 or 5 times, like a
yeah,
few times he brushed it off, like, and then eventually he's like, fine, like, all right, you want to know, like, bet, and then just started listing off names.
yep. So, like a sister, that phrasing. If I have to be honest, that's a dead giveaway. That someone is at least trying to maintain a certain level of closeness to that individual to make it so. Don't get me wrong. I have plenty of friends who I would describe as my sister, but most likely, it's not that case. It is some kind of, they are extremely close in some interpersonal kind of way. It doesn't have to be sexual, but they're definitely closer than they seem. That's the only reason to describe someone as your sister. And it just as easily could be that, they're doing it. Not saying that's definitely the case, but easily could be. And so it turns out they did. Chances are, if they're not still doing it, they probably will. It might.
As soon as you break up.
It could be.
No.
It could be after you break up. It could be before.
No.
No one can really say, but oftentimes you might not be there to stay. Is all I'm really getting at. Not to say that men can't have women friends and vice versa. Women can't have male friends. Like,
No, you can. You just when you slept with them, you chose to make them not a friend. I'm gonna go on the record and just say that now.
they're definitely more than a friend at that point.
My humble opinion, and I know some might dub me the jealous type. I don't think that's accurate at all.
I think you're definitely the jealous type.
I think that's inaccurate. I just feel like, let me ask you, Shade. Put yourself in her shoes. You're dating a girl who has, these 2 or 3 guys who are like her brothers that she's just so happy to sleep with. What are you doing tonight? Oh, I'm hanging out with Joe. He's like a brother to me. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, what are y'all doing? Oh, we're just watching Netflix. Oh. Hey, is that so? No, I feel like...
No, I mean, I feel you.
No, here's the thing. With the right girl...
With the right girl.
With the right girl or the right guy, with the right partner, you can trust it. Like, she even brought up... She said that after her past boyfriend... Like, she's been hurt before. She's been lied to or something. Like, so she has trust issues. She hinted at that, basically. Not to fill in the blanks for her. But she's hinted at she has trust issues. My point is... Maybe with the right partner, I'd be like, oh, I know they would never do that, blah, blah, blah. But for me, especially if, like she said, why didn't he kind of told her and then kind of pulled it back? Like, yeah, I've slept with some of my close friends. And then, oh, which ones? Well, I don't know. You don't really want to know all that. Like, well, which ones? Well, it's not really a big deal, It's just kind of in my past. Like, well, are you sure? I mean, you could maybe... Well, I could tell you, but I could also just not tell you, so I'm just not going to tell you. Like, so for me, like, stuff like that just screams, like, dishonest. I don't know.
Yeah, it's sneaky. It's clearly sneaky.
Yeah. So, what would your advice for her be? Does he have to cut them off? Does she need to leave him? What needs to happen?
My advice is always this. If something makes you truly uncomfortable, communicate it. If you're still uncomfortable, it's a problem for you and you should leave.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think my advice for her would just be to leave.
Yeah, I know, right? That's what I want to say.
Because here's the thing.
But it's like, if you really want to be with that person, I guess you
Well,
can't just leave.
Let me ask you this. What are you going to say when next week we get his side of the story? He says, she's trying to make me cut off my sister. We've been friends for 10 years. There was one night we were both having a bad night and we had been drinking and we slept together. It was just a one-time thing. And now my girlfriend is saying that it's either her or my sister. What do I do? You see what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna get the other side of the story next week. Like,
right.
Please just go. Like,
yeah, no, exactly.
Please just leave. Like, no, the truth is think about it.
Fair.
Like, it
just saves time.
From another perspective, like that's just controlling. You're gonna tell them who they can and can't hang out with. He said it's like a sister. He said it was in the past.
No, that's
you're gonna hold his past against him. But then want to be forgiven for your past? I do not know.
But see, is it just because of the one conversation and that's the only thing that she's noticed? She hasn't given us a lot of information. Like, what do these girls act like? Like,
that's the truth. But she did say that other than this, he's perfectly great. Like, he's great. She said this is her one quip.
But we don't know what... I need to see them interact.
You said you need to see them interact. Listen, this is a radio podcast. They can't even see us, okay? Like, we are not gonna see them, all right? Like,
go on and break up.
We should do it where you get like 3 answers. It's talk, you're crazy. It's talk, shut up, or break up. Either you talk to the person. Either our answer is you should talk to them, A. B, our answer is you should shut up, you're stupid. Or C.
I like you're crazy. That one's my favorite there.
What? Like you're
Instead
crazy?
Instead of shut up, I feel like you're crazy is better.
Yeah. I mean, both of them have like a negative connotation in the sense like when we call someone crazy, we could be gaslighting their experience, but then we tell them to shut up, we could be trying to silence their story. So it just really depends. I like the way that it rhymed. That was just me. What did I say?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it rhymed. What did we say it was?
I have no idea.
Something.
Shut up,
or break up. Oh, talk, shut up, or break up. Very simple. So I'm voting break up on that one. I take
break
C.
up. Yep.
Break up. All right. Sounds like we can all agree on that. So that's a really cool thing. Dear Shade, we got our politics in. We got all that in. Yeah, time to talk about the fast break. The fastest of breaks. NBA basketball is back. Shade, is the king going to repeat?
I have no idea what you're talking. You know I don't like.
You don't like basketball? No, you said I don't like the way they move up and down the court. Like, all right, well,
I liked Larry Bird.
You liked Larry? Stop talking. Like, I was gonna say we have some Celtics fans that are probably listening right now, probably standing up and cheering. Like, and I just want to say all y'all should sit down. And I'm a Celtics fan too, but after what I saw the other day. The way the Nets beat the Celtics, it made me feel like I got beat up in real life. Like, I had like a splitting headache. I was like, I need to drink some water. I need to lay down. Like, I just watched my team get mollywopped. Like,
mollywopped.
I just watched my team get disrespected. Like, no, okay. So the NBA is back. I guess if I had to go an early prediction as to who wins it all, I'm gonna go Nets versus Lakers.
Not Miami.
Not Miami. No, Sammy, I'm not voting for Miami. Like,
but it's the Heat.
And it's the winter right now, so what are you telling me? Like, and it's going to be a long one, too, if you're in Miami.
You said it's going to be the Penguins.
I swear, like. So, Cyberpunk.
2077.
Is banned till 2077. On PlayStation, anyway. Cyberpunk has come out and it has looked so So bad. Shade, can you give us anything?
Well, they released it 57 years early, so I can't really give them...
57 years early or after 57 delays? Like...
No, I mean, honestly, so from the people that I know that have played the game, and bear in mind, they've all played it on modern consoles or like Titan computers, they love the game. They say that it is a little broken, but that it mostly runs fine and that they're having a great time with it. I have heard the opposite about older consoles. So, your earlier PlayStations and your Xboxes and things like that. I've heard that the compatibility is not great. And so while I haven't had any experience with it myself yet, I can see why some people would be upset trying to buy the game that they've waited so long to play. But let's be fair, they said it wasn't ready for release.
No, I don't buy that. I'm mad at them. I listened to their CEO talk in a press conference, and he was saying, like, because they asked him, they're like, did you feel any pressure you had to release it? He was like, no, we would have just delayed it. His exact words were, to be honest, we didn't test it on an older system. They tested on a PS4 Pro and Xbox One. They didn't test it on a regular PS4. And it was one of those things where it was like, well, why the hell didn't you? Honestly, think about it. The game has to run on a regular. It says PS4.
But it's
most people have PS4s. They don't have PS4 Pros.
It's totally normal for a game to be released and have some bugs.
Yes and no. So
yes.
I've made that argument, and I got roasted on the internet. People sent me pictures. They let me know that this is not just a few bugs.
It's not playable.
This isn't this. I was gonna say no. Shade, this isn't a few bugs. This is the whole ant colony, okay? This is something special. What Cyberpunk has done, PlayStation is giving refunds. In their history, the PlayStation Store has never given a refund.
But, see, I feel like they shouldn't have caved.
I feel like Cyberpunk
can't possibly be that bad.
I feel like Cyberpunk doesn't belong on PlayStation or Xbox. I feel like they should have just... I feel like because the game is so... I was looking into it some, like some of the like details about it. The game takes so much to run, it should only be run on a computer. For the game, for you to get the experience that the developers... Because developing a video game is an art. For you to enjoy that art the way that the artiste meant for you to enjoy it,
so you're arguing
it needed to be done
powerful.
On a computer. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and give them credit for making a game and saying it's too good and that's why it sucks. But no, I'm not going to sit here and say that because that's just disrespectful. I was going to say there's a lot of people who probably hit the unsubscribe button if I say, yeah, the reason that the game sucks is because you're too poor and you need a computer. Like, no. The truth is the game sucks because they didn't do their homework. They didn't dumb it. Think about it. GTA 5 on PS3 and GTA 5 on PS4 are two very different games.
Yeah.
They changed it. You couldn't have released the computer version, expected the computer to do everything that it does, just like with Civ. Civ on the console is entirely different than Civ on the computer. Civ on the computer, you can run up to 26 civilizations at one time. You can have 26 different countries across the world.
Yep.
Guess how many you can have on the PlayStation?
5.
8.
Oh.
Close, though. 8. Instead of 26.
That's ridiculous.
But guess what? The game runs. And it runs well, baby. And it doesn't have glitches. And they're not giving it refunds. So the point is
well, yeah, it probably shouldn't have been released on the
If you had to dumb down
consoles.
Cyberpunk that much, you either needed to dumb it down and shut up and do it, or you needed to say, like, we're only going to have it on PC.
Yeah.
The tough matter of facts are, like, the way, like, this Cyberpunk thing is being handled, like, this is quite frankly unprecedented. And now they're talking about the developer who made it being banned, like, from allowing to release, like, future content. Like,
what?
It's... When I say that what's happening with Cyberpunk is unprecedented, I mean, I feel like lawmakers might get involved in this.
No.
Is it if you have a regular PlayStation, a PS4, and they say the game works on the PS4, right? I buy it on the PS4, and it doesn't work for anything, is that not false advertising? Is that not fraudulent? Think about have you seen some of the videos? There's people that like load the game up.
Surely there's already laws for that.
There's people who load the game up that don't even load into the game. The game just loads and then stops loading and then loads again.
Surely there's laws for that already. Like, I can return anything that I buy on Steam if it doesn't work.
I'm sure there are. I don't know. PlayStation, I've never heard of anybody getting a refund on PlayStation.
Really?
Well, to be fair, think about it. Everything that PlayStation puts out would be compatible with the PlayStation. Cyberpunk is the first thing that they've ever said, wow, this doesn't work. Think about it. Cyberpunk is the first thing where they've said, oh, wow, yeah, this isn't compatible with PlayStation. Like, normally it's, oh, I bought the game and now I don't like it. I want a refund. Too bad. Like, in this case, it's like, I bought the game.
That's true.
In this case, it's like I bought the game and it's not compatible. And it's like, but think about it, with Steam. Fair. With Steam, it's like you don't know what computer I'm running on.
Yeah, exactly. There's a reason why they would need to be able to do that.
I have a Steam account. I have a few games on my Mac. I'm not gonna lie to you. It ain't gonna run nothing like Halo.
Nah.
So if I were to buy Halo, then yeah, I'd probably need a refund. Couldn't do it on my Mac. But yeah, like in the case of PlayStation, there's nothing on the PlayStation Store a PlayStation can't handle.
Yeah, that's fair.
Except for Cyberpunk.
That's a very good point.
I can't believe them. Like, I can't believe it went up in the air like this. Like, up in flames, Shade. Like, this is ridiculous.
That is pretty wild.
It's a ridiculous story. Okay, let me ask you this. Here's another story for you in gaming. In England right now, they're thinking about creating laws against scalping. What do you think of that?
Against scalping?
Scalping. It's where, like, for example, I line up first, the GameStop line, and then I buy all 10 PlayStations.
Okay, so it is like the movie theater
for like
scalping.
$500 to $5,000,
like ticket
depending
scalping.
on how much I plan on marking it up.
Okay, yeah. So like regular ticket scalping. Well, that I think is already illegal here.
It's yes and no. It's illegal for essential goods. So like you can't scalp toilet paper, but you can scalp a PlayStation. No, I'm pretty sure. Do you believe scalping should be illegal?
Yes, obviously.
You don't believe that it's the free market?
No, I disagree with that.
Okay.
Just like I disagree that selling black market Air Jordans is a terrible idea. Like
black market Air Jordans.
Like, I don't know. I think anything being sold for higher than its market value is absolutely ridiculous.
So for me, like, I've seen the arguments on Facebook, right? You've seen them before. Like, you know, it's some jerk guy and some mother who's talking about my kid, blah, blah, blah. Then you have some people are like, oh, screw your kid, blah, blah, blah. And then you have other people who are like, he's a piece of crap, da, da, da. So there's I see both sides. I just don't understand how, like, I'm all for the free market, da, 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 but I just don't see how you're going to try to make money off of PlayStations. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, if it was, like if someone's going to pay $1,000 for the console, Sony should get the $1,000, not you. The only thing you did was take advantage of a system because you got in line earlier than everybody else.
Yep.
That's just my take on it. But yeah, so I guess we can agree, but they're about to make it illegal in England, like entirely.
Well, that's good.
So yeah, maybe we'll follow suit, maybe not. Next, Notre Dame is in the college football playoffs.
Good.
Terrible.
No, what are you talking about?
Let me tell you something. Notre Dame doesn't belong there.
They have a whole movie with Samwise Gamgee.
Isn't that what, Rudy? Rudy.
I think so.
Rudy,
something like that.
Rudy. It's like, no. But actually, though, no, Notre Dame, honestly, they're just another sacrificial lamb. Alabama's going to eat those boys alive.
Oh, for sure.
Alabama's going to have fun with them. I tweeted the last time they played Alabama and Notre Dame. I got this tweet that got like 1,000 something retweets. It's lit. It's the first time I've ever been famous. It's featured in articles too. It was actually really, really cool. I was like, text Irish to the Red Cross to donate to this natural travesty or something.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It was pretty wild.
That's hilarious.
I was gonna say, so I'm trying to get some tweets ready because I had that one ready before the game. I knew it was gonna happen. So I'm about to remake a Twitter because I don't have one right now, just so I can be Twitter famous again.
There you go.
Because they're gonna make it happen. Notre Dame is gonna do something. Alabama is gonna do something big with Notre Dame. That being said, the last thing we want to do on by the way, it's no longer the no huddle right now. Right now it's the fast break in honor of basketball.
It's the no spin zone.
The no spin zone. We don't put a spin on it left or right. We just give it to you straight.
With Bill O'Reilly.
Without a chaser either. Like but the last thing we want to do is we want to welcome Matt Royf as our market consultant. That's pretty cool, right?
That is cool.
On Mondays, we're going to start having Market Mondays where he's going to come on for probably, what did you say, 10, 15, 20 minutes? However long he needs to get your money. Market. I was going to say, to get you and your money right. He's going to get your money right, people.
He's brilliant. He's an excellent drummer for my band. That's all I know about him.
Very smart guy. So we're welcoming him to the show as our first permanent guest. So every Monday, he'll be on for Market Monday joining us. Maybe we could get him on twice a week for Finance Fridays.
Finance Fridays.
Tell us what he's looking at going into the
those
weekend.
Are the 2 days that we have practice. So that could happen.
Finance Fridays. All right, friends. Well, we'd like to thank you all for welcoming us back. Truly, truly. It is really great to be here. I'm not going to lie to you all. It's actually a real pleasure to be alive because, believe it or not, you don't have to be. It's a crazy thought, but here you are. And I know right now, a lot of us are feeling bad, about these coronavirus times. We're all locked in. People are getting sick. We hear about a new strand in England and all that, but you made it through so far. It's been since March. You made it all the way to December. You're going to make it to March, and then you're going to make it to next December. Because that's just what you do. That's what we do. That being said, this is 86.5 The Vibe, and it's the Fireside Chat. Your boy, Jack EC.
And Shade.
And just like that, we are out.